Media.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. We're going to talk today about Randy. Which Randy? I don't know. It's honestly confusing at this point, and I'm not sure how we are going to get through this video. But some interesting things have come up about Randy Boissonnault recently in the House of Commons, whether it comes to his conflicts of interest within his business that he owns, as he is also an MP and giving himself contracts, whether we talk about the fact that he holds the keys to Jasper's rebuilding. We talk about his latest slip up with his heritage. This is a doozy, folks. You're going to love this one. We're going to get into it right away. But before we do, ladies and gentlemen, I want to do a shout out to this video's sponsor, Calendars That Curse. Huge shout out to this video sponsor, Calendars That Curse. With every purchase from Calendars That Curse, you can be comfortable knowing you're supporting local products that are designed and created within Canada. Calendars That Curse make products for the everyday Canadian who just doesn't care about their freedom of expression. Holding nothing back, these calendars are not for the weak or confused. From office-inspired, classy, cursive curse words to just write down politically incorrect, they are confident they have the right product to satisfy all of your cursing needs. Don't take any of it too seriously, because they definitely don't. Calendars That Curse offers unique products, and one that I definitely have found is my favorite, and can assure you that this upcoming year I will be posting Calendars That Curse within the Fringe's home, and I highly advise you guys go out and support local and grab yourself one the same. That's over at calendarsthatcurse.ca, link below in the description. Go and grab yours right now. Okay, now, with that business out of the way, ladies and gents, let's get straight into what is going on with Randy Boissonnault. Again, which Randy? I don't know. We see here that he's apologizing for shifting statements about his family's identity. What are we talking about here? Well, Randy virtue signals very hard. If you follow him on Twitter, he's got his rainbow flag in his profile. I think he's used pronouns at some point. He's all about the virtue signaling, ladies and gents. Anywhere he can get his face in front of a camera and say he's something or another, he's always happy to do that. While he's, of course, putting his hands in our pockets and stealing our money, Employment Minister Randy Boissonnault apologized Friday for not being as clear as he could about his family's Indigenous heritage, and said he asked the Liberal Party to correct the record when it called him Indigenous. I always love the Indigenous taglines that everybody just thinks that acknowledging land, acknowledging this and that, acknowledging how hard it's been for people, colonization, that we're on borrowed land, that they just think it's just the ultimate key to getting people's approval in Canada. I've said it before. Why don't we work on getting the Indigenous some clean drinking water and some better life practices, and then we can start talking about how much we care about them. I apologize unequivocally, and I'll end it there, he said, speaking to reporters in Edmonton on Friday. Boissonnault is facing questions over claims he's made related to his family's background. He has never said that he is Indigenous, but he referred to his great-grandmother repeatedly in public statements as a Cree woman, said he was given a Cree name in 2021, spoke Cree at least twice in parliamentary proceedings, and self-identified as a non-status adopted Cree. Well, if he's saying he's never said he's Indigenous, what is this? Or was that the other Randy? Maybe it's the other Randy. I don't know. We'll see. Last week, he issued a statement in response to the National Post report that said his former company, Global Health Imports, identified itself as Indigenous-owned while bidding for a federal contract. Again, the virtue signaling to try and get their hands in our pockets. The reason for that is because a lot of grants and a lot of contracts that are given out are shown favoritism when it comes to things like diversity, equity, inclusion, or DEI. So, of course, they're going to slip up and put something like that out there. And Randy's going to slip up with those things simply just to get the contracts to try and sweeten the pot a little bit. But, of course, now that he's in trouble with that, he's backpedaling. In that statement, he said his brother and mother were Métis. In previous statements, he has described his family's background as Cree. I'm learning about my family in real time. I'm learning about my family lore, and I take responsibility as an MP and as a minister very seriously. That means representing people, he said. The reason I sought out a way to refer to myself when I was running was so that I could do so in a sensitive and respectful manner. Well, you either are or you aren't. Like, he says he's learning about his family in real time. His brother and mother were Métis. He claims that his grandmother was Cree. That's not that far back. We're not talking about ancestry.ca here. We're not talking about, generations upon generations of DNA that you're going back in your family tree. You're actually saying that one generation past you is Indigenous, as well as the generation past that, and his own brother. Now, it's not my place to say whether I'm assuming he has a different father, maybe. Because why would his brother be? Anyways, we're not going to get confused. Again, maybe it's the other Randy. I don't know. Maybe his other brother's name is Randy. We don't know. I want to go back to his statement here that the reason I sought a way out to refer to myself when I was running was so that I could do so in a sensitive and respectful manner. No, he's trying to score brownie points. That's all this is. He's virtue signaling for DEI. Boissonnault spokesperson has said that he is starting to refer to himself as a non-status adopted Cree following a conversation with an Indigenous researcher. On Friday, the National Post published an interview with the Indigenous researcher in question who denied suggesting he used those words to describe the minister's identity. I apologized that particular way to refer to myself was inaccurate, said Boissonnault. Well, that's because he got called out on it by somebody who has authority to do so. Shows down here this photo and says an Instagram post from the Liberal Party's Indigenous Peoples Commission shows an image of 9 MPs, including Randy, along with the caption, proud to have elected the largest number of Indigenous MPs ever during the 2015 federal election on Instagram. So again, he's never referred to himself like that. This has to be the other Randy. I'm convinced, ladies and gentlemen. Boissonnault said he stopped sitting with the Liberal Indigenous Caucus when he joined cabinet in 2021. Well, that's still 6 years from when he was put in place. He said that he sat with the caucus previously. It was in the role of an ally. No, it wasn't. You liar. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre accused Boissonnault of giving a fake apology and called on the minister to step down. He should have stepped down ages ago. He lies. He's a fake and a fraud, just like his boss. Resign now, Poilievre wrote on X, formerly known as Twitter. I love that they have to keep saying, is this like Prince? Like the artist formerly known as Prince? Are we going to just call it X at some point, or is it always going to be X, formerly Twitter? NDP Jagmeet Singh said that there have been a lot of concerns about Boissonnault. He cited an ongoing ethics committee probe into whether the minister continued to work for his former business after joining cabinet. We're going to get into that. I mean, look at his face. Isn't that the face of a guilty person? Like, I don't like to judge people solely when I see them, but does this not look like the face of a guilty person? I mean, you can't spell liberals without lie. I'm actually just shocked at this moment that we even have to go here with Randy or question his due diligence. But let's take a look at this video posted by a friend of the channel, Michael Barrett, titled "What a Fraud." I just want to go through the list of some of the things that are being investigated about Randy right now, and we are talking about the same Randy. It's not a different Randy. Let's take a listen.
While Mr. Anderson, the business partner, the 50% business partner with Justin Trudeau's minister from Edmonton, Randy Boissonnault, he claimed it was an autocorrect.
9 times.
9 times. But we now have more messages, so it would have to be more than 9 times. But in none of those 9 instances, nor in the new documents, does anyone ask, oh, who do you mean? Because I'm not familiar with that name. Oh, is that a typo? Is it someone else? No, they say it's Randy. Now, Randy has said that he's not the Randy in question. But we also have confirmation that there was no other Randy who worked at this firm. So we later learned that when the Liberal minister from Edmonton had said that he couldn't have communicated with his business partner, Stephen Anderson, on the dates in question, he was at a Liberal cabinet retreat and he was in a room impenetrable by electronic communications, and his phone was locked in a box and buried under the building. That, well, he did actually exchange text messages and have a phone call with his business partner, Stephen Anderson. So it's another example where we see that this Liberal minister is not being truthful. We also know that while he was a 50% owner of the company, they won a contract with the government of Canada. Well, he was sitting around the cabinet table. Of course, none of these things are acceptable, but what is What is of paramount importance is that when we have an issue like we did with Mr. Anderson, who this committee did vote by majority to send to the House, that he had been in contempt and had prevaricated when he was here, and the Speaker has ruled on that. Well, now we have an issue of a similar nature with respect to the minister. So I'm not today looking for the committee to take a decision on if there's been a contempt by the minister, but I do think that we need information about this. And while these text messages or WhatsApp messages add a new dimension to what this committee's dealing with, it comes down to whether or not the minister was honest when he testified at this committee.
So what we're looking at here is, if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we all know Randy's guilty, right? I mean, there's no denying it at this point. They've got phone records, they've got text messages. He thinks that everyone's stupid enough to believe, oh, it's another Randy. There's another Randy there. There is no other Randy, ladies and gentlemen. The real question, the reason that we're talking about all this today, the reason that I want to point out the virtue signaling about Indigenous, the reason that we're pointing out the crooked business practices of just one Liberal MP, is that when we talk about 11 MPs that are compromised in the House of Commons, 11 MPs that are taking directives from other countries like China, interfering in our elections, you think that this corrupt MP has no part in that? You think that this is not one of those 11 MPs? I will ask the same question I have asked many, many times in my videos and to MPs that I've had on my show. What is the point of these committees if there is undeniable proof that these people are committing treason, that they're committing fraud, that they're stealing from Canadian taxpayers, if we are not going to see arrests at some point or charges? Stepping down shouldn't be an option. I think they should face the full force of the law. I think that the justice system needs to have its day in court when it comes to the actions of all of these compromised MPs. But Randy Boissonnault is clearly a compromised MP, whether or not he's taking directions from China. He has shown time and time again that he is not as slippery as Justin Trudeau. He cannot cover his tracks. And I think it's just a matter of time right now before either he leaves office or we see him step down with charges. I think at some point Canadians need to see some justice, and I think an example should be made out of Randy. Question of the day, folks. Label it down below. What do you think about Randy's reasoning for claiming he's Indigenous? Let me know what you guys think down below. I'm not going to ask if you think he's guilty. We all know he's guilty. Why do you think he's claiming Indigenous? Let's see what you guys have to say down below. Make sure to answer those questions in the comments down below. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If it's your first time here, I hope you enjoyed this video and it has earned your subscription. Make sure as you're hitting that button, you also click the bell for notifications. Join me live here on the channel each and every Friday night for Friday Night Fringe, our live streaming show, where I'm joined by my beautiful wife, Mrs. Fringe, and we go over everything that's happened this week in politics, everything coming up in the week ahead, and some back and forth within our community. We always look forward to hearing what you guys have to say outside of making these videos, and I look forward to chatting with each and every one of you this Friday night, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, here on the channel. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget our sponsor, Calendars That Curse. Link is down below in the description. Go grab yourself one of their amazing calendars, especially the FJT one. I love that one. It's one of my favorites. If you're not yet a member of the channel, hit the join button down below and join us on the live stream. I will be raffling off some of these calendars this Friday night to Patriots Club members exclusively on that stream. So if you haven't hit the join button yet, make sure to join the channel. It helps support us, and you can get your name in the draw for one of our amazing giveaways. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.